Okay, so these are some of the tools I like to use, some of the really small paintbrushes. This one has a flat edge, this one has a pointy edge. These are nice because they have scrapers on the bottom, which I like to use when I make a mistake. You can scrape that off. We've already pre-sprayed this with a clear acrylic matte coating, and always grab some water. Have my palette, and then some of the paints I like to use. So
Citadel paints sold by Games Workshop.
yeah, these are good paints. I like these. They work really well for this. I do like some of the plain acrylics. Of course, Stick Blick is a good brand, so I like some of those, and then some of the model paint. Starter kits acrylic model paints, and then the cheaper craft paint. So this has primarily some grays in it, so I'm going to start by doing a kind of a thin layer of, get some white and some black on there, and I'm going to start out with a little bit of water and start out with the flat brush. And it doesn't have to be perfect because this is just the first coat, so leaving that border. I'm going to cover up some of this that we're going to extend through here.
And Aryel is a knight of the Order of Windgrace. Lord Windgrace is an old planeswalker. Lord Windgrace was the guardian of Urborg during the Time Spiral Crisis, and he used his influence over the slivers of Urborg to destroy anything of artifice in the area. His attempts to seal the time rifts in Urborg during planar chaos drained Lord Windgrace's life essence from him. In his death throes, he cast a spell that fused his spirit to Urborg, enabling the Old Walker to watch over the area.
So the first thing I like to do is find some of the background colors and kind of start there, just to have a starting place. And also want to go over here because it's drier. So I'm going to start actually maybe right here and try and make this smoky fog color. There's a little bit of red in there, I can see. So I'm going to put some crimson on my palette. Doesn't take much. And mix this up. So I'm going to start there. Gray, a tad bit of red. That might be close. Yeah, and then we can pull that through the picture there to do several thin layers.
Did you know? Knights are a tribe in Magic dating back to Alpha with White Knight and Black Knight. To date, there have been 186 unique cards with the creature type Knight in the white and black colors, excluding changelings. 262 cards across all 5 colors share this tribe in growing popularity, as Aryel opened up Knights as a possible tribe and commander. To date, there are only 8 cards in white and black with the creature type Knight.
Okay, so we've been doing a little bit of looking online to see how the Panther's legs actually look, because this is not right in there. I'm just going to get a general idea of how it would probably be. That was already there, and I'm trying to make it into something else. So that's why we're having a little struggle here. Now I can go back in and refine that too. All right, so we are going to, I kind of had wanted to keep this box kind of neat. That's what happens if we erase some of this. Because that just doesn't look right there. So sometimes I have to come back to something later, which I might have to do. This too, it's got some grays and some browns in here. Then this mist is curling up over here. I'm going to get it kind of misty, so I use these movements like it's actually mist. Let's come over here. Well, we're over here. Let's do some of this cape work. It's kind of a neat cape to keep the paint thin. And there's a little bit of blues in there. First I'm going to get the shape right, and then I'm going to go back in and color that the right way. So it's kind of flowing through there. I can go back in and add to it once I've got that. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. Keep working on some of this area, which has more white. And it still has that little bit of pink in it. Oops. There we go. I'll just add to that again. There we go. Okay. Up here, we've got some of this gray and then some trees kind of growing in there. So we'll give it a background first. And then I'll go back in and add some of the tree. Now I'm going to extend these colors up above the border. So right now, leaving the border there, I'm getting some base coat down. It does get pretty lighter, much lighter though through there. So we want to match that a little bit, and that has a little bit of yellow in it. So I can put a little yellow down. Let's get some white. With a little bit of yellow. You can see it just takes the tiniest bit. For the most part, we can always go back in and change things or add in if we don't like something. So I had not done a pre-layer on that, and you can see the difference in how that covers differently. Alright, so I'm going to try and match. Oh, that's a pretty good match. Just kind of thin, which is fine. It gets a little bit darker in there, and then a little darker. Still has some yellow in it though. That has more black and grays there. And if it's not quite right, sometimes you can just pull it into the card. You can't see the lines through there as much when you pull the color you're using into the card. Let's pull this on down so that we're kind of extending. It's way thicker than it needs to be.
It does not require all that much paint.
No, it really doesn't. That's a good point. Coming down here, I'll do this black for now. I like anchoring my cards with some black at the bottom unless there's something really interesting we think we can add to them. I'm going to go back over that. Is not very straight, but I'm going to let it dry a little bit before I clean it up. Let's work on this cape a little bit more. It's got a movement that's flowing down. I'm going to add a little bit of blue in there because there is a little bit of, tiny bit of blue. Let's just see what happens if we leave that for now and come up here. Actually, I've got blue and yellow out, so I can actually make some green for that green there, which is also gray. It's kind of close. You just want to add some branches in there. I think it needs a little bit more green. Not quite right. Get some more background to that, which is gray with a tiny bit of yellow. Make that interactive there. And then we'll go back in and put some more green. So this might go on up here. Put some branches coming up into here. Still not quite enough coats of paint on there. Always keep the layers thin. This takes multiple layers. I can still tell that's really showing through there. These colors are just hard to mix sometimes. I'm doing these movements with the paintbrush because it seems very misty, which to me that's how mist kind of goes.